This episode of Skirmish Supremacy is brought to you by Reformation Brewery, the official beer of your game night. So yeah, we have a swear as much as you want policy. So
I like it. All right.
Perfect. Well, since we are now recording, just going to go ahead and get this bad boy rolling. Welcome back, folks, for another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. This is episode 86. We're joined tonight by Sam Nolton from FossilPunk Foundry and his upcoming game called Soriana, which, well, I guess we'll talk about it in a minute. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. And as usual, joined by Nick, who's over there. I don't know what the hell he's doing at the moment. All I see is him looking at something off camera.
I'm looking at dinosaurs, all right?
All right, fine. So he's already getting in the mood for tonight. It's going to be a lot of lizard people porn, apparently. But anyway, Sam, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. So obviously, FossilPunk Foundry is your company, and the game Soriana is its own new breed of game. So let's go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about like your background, how you decided to get into FossilPunk Foundry. Then we'll talk about the game from there.
All right. Yeah. Well, I've been wargaming for years now, since like 1998. Got started with Warhammer, and then Hordes and War Machine, and a lot of the other, I've played pretty much every game that's one of the major ones right now. And then it kind of naturally evolved into this thing where I just really wanted to create my own game and my own world, and, really kind of delve into something that I don't think has ever really been done in, like professional tabletop game kind of quality yet. So I was really excited to delve into that, and I've been going for about 3 years now, since 2015, on developing everything.
Perfect. So this has been a project you've been kind of working on in the background for a little bit. You didn't just slap this thing together overnight and decide that you're going to start pursuing Kickstarter.
No, not at all. I've been writing like the rules and narrative for the game for the past 3 or 4 years now. I decided to actually start working on production for it in 2015 and 2016. 2016, we tried Kickstarter actually around this same time of year, and didn't have as much success as we were hoping. Ultimately, it failed. But, we listened to a lot of the feedback we were getting, and we decided to kind of revamp things, and spent pretty much all of this year getting everything kind of reset and ready to go again in a new Kickstarter campaign.
Cool. Awesome. So you guys had a little bit of a setback about a year ago, and you're going at it again, which is always good to hear. The last thing we ever want to hear is a company that's like, oh, well, it didn't work, so we're just going to scrap the project. Obviously, if it's something you care about, you're going to keep going. Yeah,
exactly. And this is this is basically a passion project that I've turned into hopefully a successful game here. And it's just taken a ton of work, and I'm hoping it'll all pay off in the end. But it's definitely something I'm still very much passionate about, and I really want to see succeed.
Awesome. Excellent. So tell us a little bit about the game Soriana itself. Obviously, FossilPunk Foundry is your company, but Soriana is the focus of everything that FossilPunk Foundry does right now.
Yeah, definitely. And even the name of the company is sort of based around the aesthetic we were going for with Soriana, which, kind of fossil punk. So it's, it's a little bit steampunk, it's a little bit Western. It's very 19th century themed, but it's got a strong focus on dinosaurs. I've always been a huge fan of dinosaurs since I was a little kid. I even considered going into paleontology as a career. And it was just something we don't see a lot of games that have dinosaurs in them for, the tabletop. I mean, there are a few companies, but nothing that's been the focus of it. And so we really wanted to get that out there. And so Soriana itself, it's a skirmish war game. You only need 3 to 5 models for a decent, kind of game. It's we aim for it to be really fast and really quick and dirty and brutal, kind of for a mix between like Malifaux and X-Wing in terms of how complicated the rule set is.
Okay.
We want to give players a real sense of like customization. You know, these are their characters that they're building with each one of the models and the rules for them and stuff, and they are free to customize them and equip them and outfit them however they want to play the game their way.
Okay, awesome. So you mentioned Malifaux, you mentioned X-Wing. So I take it this game will be played on like your typical 3x3 board?
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. It's it's a little more manageable than like a bigger 4x6 board for the larger war games. And it's designed to be playable within an hour to 90 minutes unless you go just huge with it. And it is very scalable, so you can play with like just a handful of miniatures, just pick up a starter set or whatever, or you could build up play a game for like 2 or 3 hours, or even a campaign with 10 or 15 or 20 or however many models you want.
Okay, cool. So you do have some form of a campaign progression system that you do have in the works with this as well.
Yeah, we're calling it the expedition system, since the whole thing's it's based around like violence erupting around fossil digging and paleontology and stuff. There was this period in the 19th century called the Bone Wars, and we took that kind of that theme and cranked it up to 11. So there's a little historical accuracy and a lot of really interesting kind of Victorian sci-fi elements to it.
Okay, awesome. So you're definitely trying to combine the best of all of the worlds when it comes time to genres. So which is definitely cool to hear. So with that said, like, talk us through how Soriana plays. I know you said it's about 3 to 5 models per side, maybe a little bit more. So what kind of system does the game use?
Yeah, so we use like a normal game would be 100 fossils for a budget, which fossils is basically points because we built this kind of fictional economy based on them. So like your players will build their band of characters from one of the 4 factions that we're starting out with here, and then they will play. They will compete either for an objective or to wipe out their opponent's band of models. It's all sort of alternating turn order, but not literally I go, you go. It's all based on sort of an initiative system. So you could have a band of characters with really high or really low, or mixes of different initiative values, so that you're constantly acting and reacting to what your opponent's doing based on how quickly their characters move and act.
Okay, so there is a good chance, based upon your army build and other factors in there, that I could end up moving 3 models before you get to activate your first model.
Absolutely, but there's always benefits and drawbacks to the various statistics. Something that moves really quick is usually going to be a lot lighter. It's not going to be able to take as much damage, or it's going to be nimble. It's going to be easily able to dodge shots and stuff. But we aim for a real wide array of variations between each character. So every single one you put on the table is going to feel like it's its own unique thing. I mean, each faction plays a certain way, but there is a lot of flexibility within that.
Okay, cool. So it's gonna each model is gonna feel unique. It's not just a matter of like, okay, this guy's faster, therefore that he's faster. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So define the system a little bit. Like, obviously we've got, it's not a you go, I go. It's much more of an initiative system. But what's some of the other things that people will be using with this game? I know you mentioned Malifaux. Does that mean there will be cards?
Yeah. So each character, we call them agents, has their own card with a set number of a set amount of statistics, their points value, and usually 1 to 3 special rules that sort of define how they play. But then on top of that, we have an asset card system, which are additional things you can buy for your warband that represent weapons that you can equip your guys with, armor, special skills, which really let you tailor your characters down to just the finite details. I mean, if you have one guy who's really good at shooting and, really light and nimble. If you wanted to, you could take him the complete opposite direction by giving him asset cards that make him into an unstoppable tank.
Okay. So it's not so much like I buy this model It's I buy this model and then I equip him with the gear that I feel that is necessary for him to operate the way I want him to.
Exactly. So, I mean, you can pretty much define each character exactly how you want to, as long as you have the points for them. And we're planning on selling each one of the miniatures with a full range of asset cards that complement them, but anyone can use any type of card from any set or anything. So it's all very customizable.
Okay, cool. So with that said, we talked a little bit about the characters themselves. Like, obviously, there's a bit of character creation and character statting and outfitting there. So the table itself, I take it's with being a skirmish game, it's very dense on terrain.
That's what we're aiming for. You know, I mean, we're not hugely focused on, like, you know, finding perfect, you know, amounts of cover and hunkering down and stuff. You know, the main objective of the game is usually a physical objective that you have to either take and hold or grab and make it off the table with. So we encourage a lot of movement, but we also encourage players to move very smartly. I mean, getting caught out in the open on a table is usually a death sentence for a character, just because it leaves them just wide open to be attacked by your opponent.
Okay, excellent. So what's the dice mechanic like in the game?
It's all D20 based. We went for sort of an RPG kind of esque system, but a lot more simplified. Most, you know, shooting attacks, you're going to roll 1 or 2 D20, and you compare that to the character's defensive score. If you beat it, you have an effect on them. It can either pin, wing, or wound a character, depending on how much you exceed their score by. And we wanted that because it makes it feel like, you know, it's never just like roll the hit and then, oh, I didn't manage to do anything. It's you either hit a character or you miss, and if you hit them, you always have an effect on some aspect of the gameplay.
Right, so it makes a little bit more sense because, you know, where a lot of miniature games are like, well, you shot at me, my armor deflected it, but, you know, it like they think nothing of the fact that somebody just shot them.
Exactly. So it combines the effects of, you know, like psychology, you know, with a pinning and that kind of thing, or, you know, taking wounds and, you know, being kind of freaked out that you just get shot at, as well as actually physically dealing damage and, you know, removing health from a character.
Okay, cool. So it's a D20 base. So what are the stats and skills like? Because, you know, a lot of people we've heard in the past with certain games that the D20 can feel kind of swingy. How do you go about mitigating that?
Well, each character has a ranged and a melee stat, which is an amount added to the D20 roll. So that, you know, if they're really high, they add, you know, 5 or plus 6 even to the roll. So it definitely greatly increases their chances of doing something to the enemy. And we've tested it a lot now so that it's really balanced. So it doesn't feel like, you know, it's just impossible to land a blow on someone. But there are certain characters that are dodgier than others.
Sure, you're gonna see that in any miniatures game where it's like, okay, this guy I want to be nimble, doing parkour off of rocks and whatnot. So, okay, cool.
Right, Saramaton, which you have pinned as a video at the top, but apparently this week you also released at least a preview of some of the cards.
That's correct.
Who has the special rule Impervious Rex, which means he doesn't get pinned and is never made to take cover. He also only walks in a straight line.
Nice. So that was actually going to be the next thing I want to talk about is like some of the factions and like some of the different zany things you have, because that's really what defines the game.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So we're launching with 4 factions. The Kickstarter is going to be mostly primarily towards funding each of those factions' starter box and a 4-player starter box that contains some models for each faction. So, you know, you can buy it and get right into the game. So we got 4 factions. We've got the Cope Collective, which are all very steampunk oriented, all sort of gentleman scientist types. They tend to be very tanky with like automatons and stuff. Like the Sar automaton is the first card we previewed from them. But then they also have a set of characters that are all sort of support for those automatons. So it makes for an interesting dynamic that you kind of have to juggle and they are definitely probably the more shooty faction of the 4 that we've introduced so far. So following them up, we have the Althnelians, which are kind of their polar opposite. They're what we call cowboys of science. They're all sort of kind of Resident Evil-ish. They splice their genes with dinosaurs, with that of dinosaurs, and they have like all these hybrid monsters and stuff. So they're very melee-oriented. They're usually very fast, but again, they're sort of archetypes that you can then alter depending on what you want to equip your characters with and stuff. So you could make them super shooty if you wanted to, but most players would probably play to their strengths.
Right. Okay.
Then our third faction is the Explorers Club, which is all big game hunters and sort of 19th century colonial kind of feelings. So you've got like a lot of people, a lot of like the British colonists in Africa and India. You got like big game hunters that are kind of drawn from like the Teddy Roosevelt archetype. They tend to be kind of shooty as well, but they also tend to be very stealth focused and have a lot of kind of movement tricks that allow them to move through cover easily or negate cover, that sort of thing. And they also have a lot of kind of weird prehistoric beasts. We've got a character called the Gamekeeper that has these like prehistoric hunting hounds that is going to be really cool, I think. And then our oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I saw that picture on the website. He's the old man in the hunting cap, and he looks like he's got like a double-barreled shotgun and these 2 weird-looking dog dino things. Like, I don't even know what to call them.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a whole bunch of miniatures for those coming out. They're called Gorgonopsids. But yeah, we're really excited about that faction too. And then our fourth faction is called the World's Fair, and it's sort of a mercenary faction. So we kind of, anything that didn't really fit into our 4 starting factions is kind of lumped into there. That could be everything from wild dinosaurs to, cattle poachers and, big bounty hunters, that sort of thing. All the kind of Wild West weirdness and the weird animals you'd find out in the wilderness. And with that faction, we made them literally mercenaries in that you can hire out 1 or more of them for your main faction that you're building a warband for if you want to. So sort of dogs of war like in Warhammer would be kind of thing.
Okay, cool. So it allows you to supplement, you can either play the World's Fair as a whole as their own faction, or you could supplement them into other factions to kind of help balance out what you feel might be an issue.
Exactly.
Like a weakness. Okay.
Exactly. That is exactly what we're going for. And we've got a few more factions planned down the line, but we wanted to focus on these 4 factions at launch.
I guess the important question is the cowboy riding the dinosaur. What faction does he belong to?
That guy, the Hell Trench Desperado, as we call him, is a World's Fair agent. So he is hireable by any faction because you never know when you're going to need a dinosaur riding cowboy.
Hell yeah. Actually, I do. Every game. All the time.
So will that cowboy be able to mount like a gun to the top of the dinosaur's head?
If you want to, absolutely. We do have a few bigger guns that are going to be included in a few of the asset card sets, and that is definitely something you can do.
Perfect. Now, will there be a model of Brock Sampson so I could have the Adventure Brothers Brock Sampson dream of him killing cowboys riding dinosaurs with guns on their heads with nothing but his knife?
That would be pretty awesome, but I don't think we have any plans for that just yet.
Write that down. No, but anyway, yeah. So overall, that all sounds absolutely amazing. So the game itself, obviously, very skirmish based, very very much its own feel, which is something that I really like. So you actually sent us an early 3D render that I think you also have up on your Facebook page of what I could only describe as a dinosaur man in powered armor with a minigun.
Yeah, that's the Star Automaton, the dinosaur automaton we have. That was actually the first thing I designed for the game. It was just kind of naturally evolved out of what I was planning on the game, and it's kind of our mascot we're going with. So I really like how that thing has turned out, and we're really excited to be getting the model of that back soon.
Nice. So obviously you went through the first Kickstarter on this. Like, how far along are you right now, I guess, in the production of everything going on? Obviously you haven't sent into full production, like full starter kits and all of that, or maybe you have, but how far along would you say you are currently in your process before you launch the Kickstarter?
Right now we are at, I'd say, about 75% produced. We've got every model planned for the Kickstarter launch, sculpted and in various stages of printing, casting, and manufacturing.
Okay, cool. So you definitely put forth the effort to make sure that you have something physical to show, hopefully on maybe day one of the Kickstarter.
Absolutely. And that will, we will be definitely showing that day one of the Kickstarter. We've got a large number of models coming back from our caster within the next week or two here that will be photographing and painting up and getting 100% just looking their best for the launch. And then we're currently working on some of the other manufacturing aspects, getting our printing taken care of for the stat cards and stuff. I think we're going to have a lot stronger launch this time around than we did last year.
Awesome. So obviously you guys are ready and raring to go. When do you plan on launching this thing?
We're launching on October 1st, 2017 with the Kickstarter. That's going to be a 30-day campaign like any of them would. And we're hoping to raise enough money to both, provide to the people who back the campaign and to get our production run started on the starter boxes and stuff.
Okay, cool. So you definitely have the plan moving forward on that. But one of the things I wanted to kind of go back and talk about a little bit is you did say that you're going to have a campaign system that runs with the game. Now, that seems to be a new thing that's happening in skirmish gaming, which, to be honest with you, I absolutely love it. I think skirmish games are perfect. It's like that RPG hybrid. So anytime there's a campaign system, you automatically have me intrigued.
Yeah, well, so that is a big part of what we wanted to get done with it. The skirmish game, the sort of ability to pick up and fight out a battle, at a tournament or, just with a friend over the night or over the evening or whatever, that's fun and all, but we want every one of our, models and characters to be something that people craft for themselves. I was really inspired by Inquisitor back when that was still a GW game of, 15 years ago now.
That book is still on my shelf. It has seen much use.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So we wanted that to be something that people can do. They can not just, create these cool characters and customize them how they want, but see them progress. So we've got this full expedition system, as we're calling it, that works both sort of as a map-based campaign for, running over a month or two, but also just for tracking your character's progress and building up their budget and, really seeing them grow in power and influence over the game world. And we're also putting together this sort of global tracking system so players can actually report in and log their progress online for the whole world to see.
Okay, awesome. So you're definitely gonna be having, I guess, if you want to call it, like, online bragging rights to go along with the game.
We would like to definitely see that develop into a thing. Yeah, I think I was always, I hate to keep going back to GW, but that was the thing that I grew up with. And, I played a lot of their summer campaigns back when that was a big thing. And being able to report your progress and, kind of nerd out over this whole global event was just a really cool thing. And I'd like to see that kind of make a comeback.
Awesome. So you mentioned before Malifaux. So I take it you've played a lot of Malifaux in the past, and like the feel of Malifaux was kind of help pushing you forward with the game, since Malifaux has a lot of steampunk.
Yeah, Malifaux is they're newer to the industry, and their miniatures and their world that they've created is just fantastic. I was kind of embarrassed to find out that as I was creating the story for my game, it was drawing a lot of parallels to Malifaux, rather unintentionally. But I think that we both obviously both of our games stand as unique from each other. So but they are definitely a big inspiration, and their gameplay is just super fantastic to enjoy with as a skirmish game. I mean, I think that's like one of the only main like mainstream skirmish games still out there. So
yeah, I mean, outside of like, there's other ones as well, but like Infinity and a couple of the other ones. But as far as like, I guess you want to call it like the steampunk skirmish, it's definitely, at this time, I think it's really the only one out there anymore, especially now that Dystopian Wars is done, but that was never really skirmish to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But awesome. So you guys have definitely put a lot of work into this. Now, where do you see the game growing past the Kickstarter? Like, what is some things that you'd really like to see happen? Or maybe, is there certain things that you plan on launching differently this time that you did from the first one? Like something to help expand upon what you already have?
Yeah, well, our biggest issue with the first one was our first plan was to make it a 54 millimeter scale game. Larger
miniature. Don't do that.
Yeah, we learned pretty quickly. We got a lot of backlash from the community. Just they didn't want to paint the large models. They didn't want to have to deal with storing them in foam and transporting them. They didn't want to have to find specialty terrain, that kind of stuff. So we scaled down to around 32 millimeter heroic scale, just as a first start. We're doing all of them in resin casting. We've got our great partners over at Zealot Miniatures doing all our casting for us, and they're just fantastic with the detail and the skill, and they've been a huge help. And we're just launching this time with a much broader array. When we first tried to start Kickstart last year, we literally only had 2 miniatures to show for it done. Now we're at about 12, with many more on the way. So we're doing that, and then we're partnering with a lot of kind of other names in the industry to really vary our options on release. We've got some terrain and scenery in the works that's going to be developed here. We showed off a little bit of that on Facebook already.
Okay,
but then, past the Kickstarter, we want to see it grow into. We want to build a community around our game and our franchise here. Obviously, that means releasing more models for each faction, expanding all the factions, hopefully adding new ones in the future, and then way down the line, maybe even developing it into a larger scale war game. With more models per side and bigger war machines and monsters. We just kind of have to see how it evolves from the start here, and hopefully things will really take off.
Awesome. So you definitely have expansion plans past that. Now, what are some of the extra super secret stuff you plan on launching in the Kickstarter?
We've got a few early access and kind of Kickstarter exclusive miniatures that we're going to be showing off. Mostly ones we've got a few. We've mentioned that a lot of our characters are meant to be, kind of created by the player. But we do have a few kind of special characters, one of which we've previewed a lot is called the Whitechapel Terror, which is our sort of weird Sariana take on the Jack the Ripper legend from the 19th century. And so we're offering that as one of our first early Kickstarter miniatures, as well as a few other little tidbits that I will be revealing within the next few weeks that we're pretty excited about.
Awesome. Now, have you started reaching out to any local stores to run demos and kind of get the name out there as more of a hobby brand?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, the hobby is a huge part of it, and just a huge part of the industry in general. We're looking at right now arranging a major launch party in Portland, Oregon, my hometown, where the whole thing got started. There's a big game store up there called Guardian Games.
Okay.
And we're going to arrange a launch event with them, and we're looking into sending out media pre-release kit kind of things to other brick and mortar stores to just build up the hype and get the word out and start arranging organized play, which is going to be a big facet of it. So we've got quite a lot in the works.
Perfect. So you're coming out strong this time compared to the last time.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely been the play.
Excellent. So as far as you mentioned the campaigns and everything else, obviously you want to do your online kind of stat tracking and whatnot. what other ways can the community of the game get involved? Because I think that's very important, especially since you're in this case, you are a new company that's coming out with product. And a lot of people, they always have that fear of a Kickstarter product comes out, it's great for like 6 months, and then they never hear from it again. And it almost seems like the community's, I don't want to say not listened to, but more not involved. What do you plan on doing to really involve the community in like the world of, Soriana?
Yeah, and that is definitely a major concern. There have been, so many companies that get out a great product at first and then just kind of peter off. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep supporting this for as long as we possibly can. As long as people are excited about it, we want to find some way to, keep giving them cool stuff, keep rewarding them for supporting our efforts in this. So, alongside the planned organized play set, or play thing, we're hoping to kind of recruit some people who are really into it, in the way that, Privateer Press has their press gangers program, that sort of thing, as a start, of course. We want to interact with people on social media. We're planning on doing a monthly poll to see what miniature, each month people want to actually really see us develop. We've got a few concepts in the works with art behind them and stuff, and we really want to, we are creating our own game with Sariana, but it's for people to enjoy and to really get behind. So we really want their input on it, and we really want people to feel like they matter to the company. Their input matters. I mean, they're not just faceless numbers buying our models.
Right. Yeah. You don't ever want somebody to feel like a faceless number, especially when you're a smaller company like that. Everybody matters. But so I think you guys are going to be running like painting competitions, things like that, just things to keep it all fresh, drawing people back to the Facebook page, back to the web page itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, big part of the social media factor is, just we're hoping to get some forums up and stuff at launch here, but we're also, we want to be able to show off people's paint schemes and conversions and stuff on our social media posts. We want to be able to get some sort of featured input from people, and really make them feel like they're seen and heard. Right.
Excellent. So obviously we've talked a lot about the miniatures. We talked a little bit about the game system itself, but a lot of people always wonder, and I'm one of those too, how far along, like rules wise, is the development process? Like, do you feel that once it hits Kickstarter, like the rules themselves are for the most part hammered out? It's just like small amounts of play testing from that point forward? Or do you feel that there's a lot more that has to be done?
Oh no, absolutely. We've spent quite a while now, the last probably year and a half, testing out the rules and getting those hammered out to a 100% playable, state. So when the Kickstarter launches, there will be, of course, a video, how to play, literally taking you through a turn or two of the game to show exactly, the steps of play, the phases, how special rules take effect, and that will come with like a sort of a pre-release PDF of the quick start kind of rules. And we will probably have a brief play testing phase just to get wider community feedback. But we do feel that the rule set we've crafted is very strong and pretty much 100% ready to go, barring, one or two little tweaks.
Right. And it's always good to make sure that you send that out there to people, because you want people to punch holes in it as much as possible. Let people break your game.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we'll definitely be, keeping up to date with those two. We'll have FAQ documents and stuff as we release new rules and expansions, just to, to keep things updated. We don't ever want to, accidentally release one character or one asset card or something that just completely breaks the game. So we're hoping for a lot of help with that.
Okay, awesome. So one thing that I know we've talked about it being a 32 millimeter game. Base size wise, how big are some of these models really going to get? Because I mean, if we're talking T-Rex and things like that, that's going to be a huge model.
Oh, absolutely. Our biggest models will probably be on, I'd say, 80 to 100 millimeter basis. While most of our, normal human size models will be on probably 25 to 32 mil, depending on specifics of the pose and stuff.
Okay. So wide range in there.
Yeah, we want to. That was part of our reasoning behind going 54 millimeter originally. Was we wanted a big ass showcase model. We wanted someone to have a T-Rex on their thing, on their table that's a small statue. But we're still going to get that with 32 millimeter scale, we think. So we're getting prepared to get all that kind of in place.
Right. So instead of it being the humans that are 54 mil, they go down to 32 mil, and you still keep the T-Rexes that shit your pants size.
Hopefully, yeah. We're not aiming for just a huge amount of historical accuracy here.
No, of course not. I mean, we are talking about a game where there's still like people with like weird dingo steroid dinosaur things, and robot dinosaurs with miniguns.
They've turned robot or dinosaurs into robots, so
Yeah, so completely historical.
So, it'll work in a lot of different ways.
I remember seeing that in the museum.
So my other question is, are we going to have pterodactyls that drop grenades from their feet?
That would be amazing.
Believe it or not, yes. We actually do have a few versions of flying dinosaurs and some other weird kind of steampunky 19th century things like zeppelins and stuff too. So there are going to be a few really interesting aspects to the release.
Will it be a zeppelin that drops raptors on people?
That is completely within the realm of possibility.
Fantastic. I'm liking this more and more already.
These are my attack raptors.
Give a bunch of raptors parachutes and drop them from a zeppelin. Watch everybody just flee the battlefield.
Why not? Yeah.
See, the real question is, though, why did I have to specify that these are my attack raptors?
Because you also have raptor butlers.
And they have little bow ties, god damn it.
Okay, yeah, now that needs to be a model.
That actually is weirdly a sort of a planned model. One of our hopefully planned factions in the future is going to be the crown, like Queen Elizabeth's empire, and one of our dinosaurs is like Her Majesty's Secret Service, like a raptor with a fucking tuxedo and like silenced pistol and stuff.
That's awesome.
So I got to ask this: is he going to be scratching his chin like the raptor thinking meme?
Very, very possible. I do love that meme.
See, now I'm really digging this. Now that should be a stretch. That should be a stretch goal to the Kickstarter. Is that the 5th faction comes out and you get 00 Raptor?
Yeah, that is our. I believe we're setting that. Our initial goal is like $6,500 to get everything started, and I think that's at like 10,000 if we make it. Then yeah, that next faction with the first 5 models or so will be ready to go.
Fantastic. So, folks, you hear what we need to do on day one: $10,000 to get the 007 Raptor.
007 Raptor.
Or the Archer Raptor from the alternate episode 1 for those of you that are Archer fans out there.
That is a good one.
See, Sam's really over there going, these sons of bitches. I'm suddenly committed to so much stuff that I really didn't plan on happening.
Yeah, and he just keeps throwing it out there and saying that it's all possible. So now we got to make this shit happen. I mean, we already made the Blunder Monkey happen. Why not make some other things happen?
We did. We did make Blunder Monkey happen.
The Blunder Monkey?
Yes. So, yeah, we'll fill you in. And for those of you listening that are not fans of Blood and Plunder, we became good friends with the guys over at Firelock Games to make the historical game Blood and Plunder. It's a pirate game. And as an April Fool's joke, they decided to release a card for a monkey with a blunderbuss. Thinking, oh, ha, 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 nobody out there actually has a miniature of a monkey with a blunderbuss. Well, needless to say, one of our good friends and sculptor from Bombshell Miniatures, Patrick Keith, launched just that, a model of a monkey with a blunderbuss that is true to scale for a 32 millimeter to 28 millimeter miniature. So Nick, being a consummate asshole, posted online and said, oh, you say that there's no monkey with a blunderbuss. I present to you the monkey with the blunderbuss. So Patrick had, I forget exactly how many sales that night, just on a small, tiny little model. And he woke up the next day going, why do I have 35 sold blunder monkeys or monkey with a blunderbuss? And he couldn't figure it out. So we finally filled him in. And it kind of created this cult following amongst the Firelock Games folks and, the fans of Blood and Plunder. So they just got done with Blood and Plunder No Peace Beyond the Line. And Alex, who's one of the owners of the company, decided to say, "Oh, you guys wanted your monkey with the blunderbuss. You wanted your blunder monkey. Well, here's the level you have to hit in order for that to happen." And it was like, I forget exactly, what was it, like 2 days left of the campaign, something like that, Nick?
I'm not even sure. Yeah, I mean, it was right around 2 days. It was like a day and a half. It wasn't a lot of time.
And it was like a $25,000 jump to hit that level. And the moment they did that, we were like, okay, well, fuck you guys, this is on. And so between Nick, myself, and like some of the fans, like not only did they hit that $25,000 mark, like to push it, but then they did like an extra 10 grand past that. So yeah,
made sure that we got that blunder monkey,
right? So we made sure that the damn blunder monkey was born. So that's yeah. So throw something ridiculous at the community, and well, if we get behind it, we usually have a tendency to make it happen. So
nice. Well, that would definitely be something to see.
So awesome. So obviously, like you're playing some other games right now. What are some of the games that you are currently playing besides Soriana?
Yeah, besides playtesting that a lot. Mostly right now, Warhammer 40K, since it just dropped 8th edition, and so I've been getting back into that.
I've heard a lot of good things. I have yet to pick it up myself.
It's a big step in the right direction for them, I feel. I'm really impressed with the changes they've made, so I'm excited about that. And they've just been cranking out other supplemental games. I mean, we had Shadow War Armageddon, the sort of Necromunda spin-off kind of thing that they did like late last year.
Yeah,
and I mean that's pretty fantastic as well. So I've been mostly pumping away on that, and a little bit of Malifaux. Really getting excited for the new for Weird Miniatures' new game coming out the other side.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. I've seen obviously when the Kickstarter was going on, I saw a lot going on with that as well. But that one's going to be more mass battle, if I remember correctly. It's not just like 6 to 10 miniatures per side. We're talking again like 30, 40 miniatures.
Yeah, that takes the skirmish theme of Malifaux back up to like Warhammer 40K scale of battles with 45, 50 models apiece.
Okay, so that's kind of what I thought, because I know they have some models in there that are damn near kaiju sized.
Yeah, they got some really huge stuff, but I'm excited about that. It looks really cool, and it's got a really unique aesthetic that kind of, it's part of Malifaux, but it's also like kind of its own unique thing, and I like that. Yeah,
definitely. So when is that one coming out again?
The Kickstarter ended like December of last year, so I think it's supposed to be out by December of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we still got a little bit of time to wait on that. I haven't been following that one too closely, and
I backed the Kickstarter, and I was really into it, so I'm hoping to see some more stuff from that soon.
Awesome. So 40K, a little bit of Malifaux, and obviously playing an absolute shitload of Soriana. So what do you got going on besides that, as far as like gaming wise?
Not a lot. I mean, there is a bit of gaming and stuff, but I'm also super into the hobby. So I've always got new miniatures that I'm working on, new conversions, new paint schemes. Getting the first batch of stuff for Sariana painted, which is really exciting. Trying to kind of hash out a color scheme for different models and make them really stand out. So that's taken up a lot of my time right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, and I have a feeling once October 1st rolls around, like it's going to be 100% Soriana moving forward for probably the next 8-9 months.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting. So we're crossing our fingers for a big launch, and that we get some, the community really excited about it, and we just can't wait to get things going.
Awesome. So how big is your team over at FossilPunk?
Honestly, it's pretty much just me.
Okay.
I own the company. I wrote the rules. I wrote the narrative. And then I work with about a dozen freelance artists and sculptors to produce the concept art, the digital models for everything. And then our partners over at Zealot Miniatures do all of our printing and casting.
Okay, cool. So most of it's all freelance outside of you. You're really the only I guess you want to call it full-time employee of FossilPunk Foundry.
That is true. I am the owner, operator, and only employee of my own company.
Oh, great.
So,
not only
yeah,
you
we
wear
are
the big hat, you wear the small hat too.
Pretty much. We are the smallest possible size for a company like this. So hopefully we'll be able to really expand if everything launches smoothly, and we're hoping we can have a nice little period of growth once the Kickstarter goes live.
Nice. So 6,500 is the goal. 10,000 to get to the next faction that will unlock 007 Raptor.
Yes, that is true. In between there are a bunch of other stretch goals for more models added on to the various factions. We got a few specialty box packs of asset cards that you can buy to, outfit your band however you want. A lot more, and we're hoping to, if we reach some of our stretch goals, we're hoping to be able to make some of those asset cards physical modeling options for the miniatures as well. Sprues of weapons and equipment and stuff that you can really customize and convert your stuff with.
Nice. So lots of stuff that could be magnetized.
That would be pretty awesome if we reach those goals. Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, I definitely would like to see those happen, especially like a game like you said, like this, where not only are you choosing the model, but then you're also choosing how it gets kitted out. I think that's the next natural step in any miniatures game is okay, so now that I've kitted him out in this new way, I get to add all this new stuff to him, new gear. The problem with doing kind of your typical WYSIWYG model stuff is that you have to do a lot of chopping and hacking and make sure that miniatures are the right scale and everything else, and that can sometimes,
exactly.
An evolving model standpoint, be a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't want to, enforce WYSIWYG, but if people, I've always liked to model my miniatures with what they're actually equipped with. So hopefully, that is something we can also achieve. And, maybe even look into some sort of magnetization packs so you can easily convert and customize and magnetize your models for, your own purposes.
Nice. Excellent. Well, Nick, is there anything else you want to throw in there? Because I think we've covered quite a bit on everything that is FossilPunk Foundry and Soriana.
I think we have. I'm just waiting to, get my hands on a cowboy riding a dinosaur. Because that one has definitely been the most popular thing we've revealed so far, and we're really excited about that one.
The thing right next to that would be, 00 Raptor, but Will 00 Raptor have a monocle?
I think it kind of has to at this point, especially since we're going with the whole British kind of theme.
Perfect. All right. So at this point, we're just going to throw... Exactly. We're just going to throw ridiculous crap at you until this happens. So that's exactly awesome. So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and take a few moments, give us the plug. Obviously, talk about the upcoming Kickstarter. Where can we find you on Twitter, Facebook, the web, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Our company is FossilPunk Foundry. Our game is Sariana. It's going to be an amazing 32 millimeter skirmish game with just complete customization for players to do pretty much whatever they want and any crazy thing they want with their characters. You can find us online at twitter.com/FossilPunk, FossilPunk Foundry on Facebook, and FossilPunkFoundry.com. We're going to be launching our Kickstarter on October 1st, and you can pretty much look for an announcement on every marketing channel we can get our hands on here. So we are really excited to be bringing this to market finally, and we hope to see people at the Kickstarter launch.
Awesome. Well, folks, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode of Skirmish Supremacy. I know for a fact I'm looking forward to this Kickstarter. It's going to be really cool to see some dinosaurs in action in ways that we haven't seen before. So, definitely stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you updated as soon as that Kickstarter launches. Obviously, we'll post it to the Facebook page and the website, just like we normally do with everything else that goes on. But as far as Skirmish Supremacy's episode goes, that will be all for this one, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to another episode of Skirmish Supremacy. To see more of the antics that Nick and I do, you can check us out on Facebook at Skirmish Supremacy. We also have Twitter, which we can be reached at Skirmish Supreme. because apparently Skirmish Supremacy does not fit in Twitter. And if you want to email us directly, you can reach us at tim@skirmishsupremacy.com or nick@skirmishsupremacy.com. Thanks for listening.